Boy, it was hard to be quiet for that long. So let me tell you the GMO story. Here we go. We have 3 different types of genetic modification. We have the Bt toxin, we have the Roundup Ready, and the desired trait promoters. 3 genetic modifications to make our plastic plant. So the Bt toxin is a bacteria toxin that explodes the stomach of the bacteria or the bug that's eating the plant. And then Roundup Ready, they have to inject different genes into the plant that allows it to survive the spraying of glyphosate, which is the active chemical in Roundup. It's a herbicide. So they spray this around the plant to kill all the weeds. But if you spray toxin on a live plant, it will too die. So they have to genetically modify the plant again to withstand this toxin. Now the problem with that is that glyphosate, because it's a water-soluble poison, not only sits on the surface of the plant, it goes into the soil and is absorbed up into the plant. So when you eat the plant, you're eating the toxin. You can't wash it off. It's into the plant. The desired trait promoters are also another genetic modification, and that is used to sort of make the strawberry more red and bigger. Now, granted, it probably won't have a smell or a taste, and it's lower nutritional value because it's genetically modified, but it will look more beautiful. So the desired trait promoters are not sure what that does to our health in the long term. They're thinking it might wake up latent genes, but we're certain that the glyphosate is a poison. It's listed as such. And there's a number of health problems with using glyphosate, and you can research that. I'll send some links along included in this video that you can research yourself. We'll talk about some as we go along. But the glyphosate then gets into the soil. Now remember, this is like an antibiotic, against biotic life. So it kills the weeds, but it also kills any bugs and bacteria, good bacteria and worms and things that live in the soil that help break down the soil and improve our nutrition. It gets into our groundwater. So what happens is we're drinking it as humans. It gets into our bodies. 93% of Americans have glyphosate in their urine. It's into our breast milk. Our animals are drinking the water. So our birds here in Nova Scotia are really sick right now. And the government has asked us sort of take in our bird feeders and not feed the birds. It's not due to our feeders. We've been feeding birds for hundreds of years. It's something with the bird's immune system. You know, it's a phenomenon called the canary in the coal mine. Years ago, the coal miners would take canaries down into the coal mine, and if the conditions were such that the canary died, they knew it wasn't safe for them to be in there. So we have that happening. Our birds are sick because of this glyphosate in the environment. Not only does it travel down to our groundwater, then it goes out into our oceans. So around the world, our coral reefs are dying, our whales, our wildlife in the ocean. And then it's sucked back up into the clouds, it condenses, and then it's rained upon. Because it's water soluble, it comes down again in poison and rain. So we have GMO, not only plants, but we have GMO animals. So they're genetically modifying our fish. Imagine this genetically modified fish gets out of its farm and it starts breeding with our natural species. You know, is it going to destroy all the natural species of fish? Just like this plant, artificial plant, will pollinate and will go out and contaminate these organic farms with this genetically modified plant. Now, this has happened. And what's happened is big companies like Monsanto, who own this Roundup and have a patent on these genetically modified seeds, then sues the organic farmer because he's using the genetic modified seed that happened to blow over and contaminate his organic farm. So it allows these big companies to take over and sue small companies. And who patents seeds? Seeds are like a God-given gift. So there's many problems, not only with the genetically modified plants, but genetically modified animals as well. And animals in our food chain will have a more concentrated form of the poison. They're higher up in the food chain, so better to eat a more plant-based organic diet. Now, most of the farming was organic before 1950. It was after the 1950s they started adding chemicals, and then it was 1980 when the first patent came in, the first GMO patent. So we've only had 27 years or so to discover just what the long-term effects and how detrimental this glyphosate is on our system. So don't panic, though. I mean, this is a poison system, but we can stop it now because we can not panic and we can eat organic, buy organic, non-genetically modified foods. In this GMO series that I watched in the last week, it's called GMOreveal.com. It's free this weekend, so I'm going to send this link after this weekend. You'll have to pay for it, but it was 9 amazing episodes. And David Wolf says in this series, nature's solution to pollution is dilution. Filter your water, but in filtering your water, you also take out some of the trace minerals and electrolytes, so you need to replenish, put back the good bugs, because this Bt toxin takes out the bacteria and will kill the bugs in our system. Now, the probiotics in our gut lining are 80% of our immune system. They help with our food assimilation. They help keep out viruses and bacteria and protect against cancers. So it's essential to get those probiotics back in. You can take it in a capsule. A fermented coconut is a product I like. Other fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi are great ways of getting the probiotics back in. Eat like a caveman. I would say if you can go out and you can pick it from the tree, you can scoop it from the lake, you can pick it from a bush, you're getting the food in a natural form. It's not processed with chemicals. Eating good fats, so coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, are cold pressed oils that come directly from the plant. If you've got to do the corn and safflower and vegetable oils, they're often, again, genetically modified and hydrogenated, meaning, they're more chemically processed and, again, dangerous to our system. A protein diet, that doesn't necessarily mean high animal protein, because again, the animals, remember, higher on the food chain, more toxins, but cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage are also high in protein. And avoiding carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are sugars. So if you watch a previous video I did on bread as a drug, 2 slices of bread, whole wheat bread, have the glycemic index equivalent to a Mars or a Snickers bar. So the carbohydrates put you in kind of a carbo coma, and are really the reason for this epidemic of diabetes and heart disease. It's not the fats. Well, it could be the bad fats, but it's not the good fats. It's actually the sugars that are causing inflammation. So avoid the carbohydrates. Check the label for natural, avoiding chemicals. So in cleaners, in makeup, in toothpaste, bug sprays, you can make your own at home. It doesn't have to be expensive. The obstacle I ran into is organic's expensive. Well, no, you can make your own things. You can grow your own food, and organic doesn't have to be expensive. You buy local and do a lot of it yourself. Essential oils make great bug sprays and cleaners with vinegar. Nature's detox is the natural detox is activated charcoal. So if you're poisoned, this is what they'll recommend. It comes in a black powder you can get at the health food store. Take a teaspoonful a day in water, and you can use it as facial masks, for makeup, for your teeth, for brushing your teeth, but activated charcoal is important. And live with original evolutionary intent, co-creating. I love that. Because we are our environment. We are our ecosystem. My blood plasma has the same chemical constituents as the minerals and constituents of our ocean. The hemoglobin in my blood is just one molecule different than the plant blood, which is chlorophyll. My menstrual cycles and my hormones are dictated by the phases of the moon, so you can't separate you from the environment. The immune system of our bodies, taking care of our immune system, takes care of the immune system of our plants and our animals and our oceans. So this coexistence, co-creating, realizing that what we do to ourselves, we do to our environment, is really important. It gives us sort of social responsibility. And a few other points you might be thinking, well, why isn't our, government agencies, our health departments protecting us? Isn't there Food and Drug administrations and regulations that protect us against chemicals? Well, yes, there is. And in September 2016, I emailed the Pest Control Department, the health ministers, locally, Honorable Leo Glavine, federally, Honorable Jane Philpott, our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, our Member of Parliament, Andy Fillmore, and I asked them, please can you send me some independent studies to show the safety of glyphosate that's found in this herbicide and also in our vaccines. So I haven't received those safety studies yet. Apparently there are studies there that say they're safe and effective, but I've been a year asking and haven't received them yet. What I did learn through this series, GMOsRevealed.com, was that in 2013, Obama passed a law to give total judicial immunity to this big company Monsanto that not only produces Roundup and this herbicide, glyphosate, but also produced things like DDT and Agent Orange, but gave them total immunity to any disease or illness or death related to genetically modified foods. So this is a little concerning that the company that's making these chemicals get total immunity against any responsibility from the effects of the chemicals. It reminds me of a law that was passed in 1986 by Ronald Reagan that absolved the vaccination companies of any liability and death related to the vaccines. So it's a little concerning that there's laws put in place to protect the people making the chemicals, and also laws that give absolve liability to physicians who are injecting, to farmers who are spraying, who then are responsible for these crimes against humanity? Is it the government officials that are legislating these laws? It's concerning. Now, the big argument of why they're genetically modifying foods is that it's going to help increase food to feed the masses of our starving population. That's totally untrue. All the studies that talk about genetic modification really talk about it in, again, promoting desired traits within the plant, not necessarily nutritional. In fact, I haven't found any that say it increases the nutrition of the plant, but again, it is plastic food, so it doesn't increase the nutritional value. It kills off the weeds, but it doesn't increase the yield. Now, in this series at GMO Revealed, which I encourage you to watch, again, it's free this weekend, and then you have to pay for it after that, so go to GMORevealed.com. And you can watch this series. They interviewed a farmer, and it was an uncut version. It gave you really insight into the psychology of the farmer. And this one farmer named Mark Castle, he said that the government says these chemicals are safe. So I use them on my farms, and it helps me save money because I'm not having to hire someone to pull the weeds every 6 or 8 weeks. When those weeds come up, they're sprayed over the farm, and it kills all the weeds, and the genetically modified plastic plant survives. And I don't have to pay someone to weed, and I don't have to weed. I can go to the lake and fish. So if you think about the mindset of the farmer, he thinks in his mind these chemicals are safe. It gives him more efficient farming. He doesn't need to pay out the money for weeding or put the time into it himself, and doesn't change his yield. It doesn't increase it, but doesn't change it. So economically, he does better, but at what cost? To our health and the health of our environment. So I'd like to close with a few points. First is cancer is the number one killer of children in the United States. Our countries that have the highest vaccine rates also have the highest infant mortality rates. So if vaccines, glyphosate in vaccines, mercury in vaccines, aluminum in vaccines, truly are, and nagalase enzyme, if they are helping, we should see the countries with the highest vaccine rates have the highest health rates and the lower mortality rates. It's opposite. We also have a prediction from an MIT scientist that says the kids that are born in 2025, half the baby boys born will have autism if nothing changes with this glyphosate picture. So truly, we are in a crisis situation, and it's up to you. It's up to you and I to save our planet. These changes aren't going to come from the top down. They're going to come from the bottom up. So cancer again, #1 killer. Countries with the highest vaccine rates have the highest infant mortality. Chronic disease on the rise, 50% of boys being autistic in 2025. The health depends on you. Because consumer demand creates company supply. We've seen this with our gluten, right? Our gluten intolerance. Suddenly we have gluten-free things everywhere because we demanded it. So every restaurant I go into, I ask, is this genetically modified? Do you have any organic vegetables? In the grocery store, I ask for the same thing. Excuse me, do you have any non-genetically modified tomatoes? Do you have this Magic Mud toothpaste with activated charcoal? If you're asking, companies have to supply it. Now, there's an interesting story. March Against Monsanto was a movement that was started by a stay-at-home mom of 3. She went to a talk and learned that cereal she was giving her baby, Gruber cereal, actually had glyphosate in it. And then she learned about the urine of Americans, 93% of Americans having glyphosate, and how glyphosate's showing up in breast milk. And she said, our world is toxic, I need to do something to help. So she started this Facebook page. And she said, in 2 months, my goal is to have 3,000 people. Within 2 months, this lady, Tammy Cannell, she had 3 million people sign up to a march against Monsanto. 3 million people. That's inspiring, right? It's like a spark that gets a fire going. When you have a original intent, a pure heart, and you're working for the greater good, it's like the universe lines up to help you. And I think that's what we're doing. We're going to share this message. If you get this message, if you share with just one person, share the information with just one person that you love, it can grow and expand. And as we're asking for more non-genetically modified products and foods, again, they'll appear. And organic farmers then are elevated, and their businesses grow as the other businesses fade away. So Facebook page, March Against Monsanto, join up. The GMOsRevealed.com, again, a great series that's going to be on this weekend, complimentary. You can look me up on Facebook, Dr. Dina Churchill, Innovator of Women's Health and Wellness, or our website, oxfordchiro.ca, because the power is in the people, always is, always will be. So you can make a change. I would love to thank you for watching this series. This video, encourage you to watch the video series at GMOrevealed.com this weekend, and invite you to reach for the stars, envision and achieve your personal best, and most of all, enjoy the journey. This is Dr. Dina Churchill signing out.